Good morning. I'd like to call to order the Human Resources Appointment and Equity Committee, Tuesday, October 20th, currently 10:06. Can we have a roll call, please?
Calling the roll, Ms. Conwell.
Here.
Mr. Gallagher.
Here.
Mr. Germana.
Here.
Mr. Miller.
Here.
Ms. Brown.
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right, thank you. I hope my colleagues have had a moment to look over the minutes from the September 1st. I believe all of us were here. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Move to approve.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Minutes for September 1st, 2015 meeting has been approved. We have several matters referred to the committee today, as well as a presentation from the Personnel Review Commission and a plans report. So if you could, Chrissy, please read the first item into the record.
Resolution 2015-0202, confirming the county executive's appointment of various individuals to serve on the Metro Health System Board of Trustees for an unexpired term ending 2/28/2021, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective for the individuals as printed on the agenda.
Thank you. Chris, if you could give us this committee a background.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Good morning.
Good morning.
The specifications for the Metro Health Board of Trustees are set in the Ohio Revised Code. Appointees have to be electors of the county, except for 10 out of the 10 members, 2 can be members from outside of the county. Neither of the appointees today are from outside the county. They're both in-county residents. The 10 members of the Board of Trustees are the governing board of Metro. They hire and fire the CEO and make decisions for the organization. The appointment process is a bit more complicated than some of our other appointments. Appointees are nominated by the county executive as a successor to the former county commissioners, but they have to also be jointly nominated by the senior-most judge at the Common Pleas Court and at the Probate Court, which at this time are Stuart Friedman for Common Pleas and Anthony Russo for the Probate Court. Both of the nominees have had the support of those 2 justices, and so we are moving forward these 2 appointments. At this time, the Metro Board has 2 openings of the 10 and 1 expired member. We are nominating these gentlemen for the 2 currently open positions that were previously held by Sharon Sobel Jordan, who resigned upon joining Cuyahoga County, and Polly Clemmo. The terms for the Board of Trustees for Metro Health are 6 years. The 2 nominees we have today, both are extremely qualified gentlemen in very different ways. We are very excited to present them to you. Mr. Schneider is a developer. We believe that he will be a tremendous asset as Metro looks to continue work on its physical plant. And Bishop Minor is a extremely involved member in the community, as well as being very involved in the health and human services field. So I'll let them speak for themselves. I believe we also have a representative from Metro Health here today. If you have additional questions about Metro itself, Chairwoman, are there any other questions you have for this committee?
Councilwoman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Glassburn, we lost a female. Can you tell me currently what is the makeup of the body as it pertains to male to female?
I can't say that I know off the top of my head. I don't have the full list in front of me. As I recall, there are, I believe, 2 others, but maybe Ms. Hill from Metro Health would know off the top of her mind as to what the current makeup would be.
Ann, could you come? Okay, so we can come back to that, Councilor.
Sure.
Any questions from the committee for Mr. Glassburn? All right, moving ahead, we'll go in order as printed unless someone has a rush or need to get out. Reverend Minor, if you could come up front, please. State your name. Basically, what is your passion and why you would like to be on this board, if you were appointed because you were asked, or if it's coming from you.
Okay, thank you. I'm Thomas Anthony Minor, and as indicated, very involved in the community. Apart from being a pastor, also serve as the director of advocacy at Lutheran Metropolitan Ministry, and there we do a lot of public policy work. But we also do health empowerment, and I'm kind of known around town for developing the Faith Health Hub project, where we work with congregations and community members to really do three things. One, to address environmental issues, also to help people address their health and wellness issues, connecting them to health care. We've had a very good experience in dealing with the Affordable Care Act and helping people find affordable health care. My passion over the last 20 plus years have been in helping vulnerable populations. And I've come to know in the last 10 years that improving one's health is probably the most important thing that they can do to experience success. And certainly being part of the Metro Health Board, being able to be part of the experience of a public institution that's designed to help the poorest in the community, making sure that it is viable, being able to balance both the business side and the practical side of making sure that it meets those needs. I think it's just a challenge that I would enjoy, and it's one that my experience would allow me to be a good team player.
All right. Any questions for Mr. Minor, Reverend Minor? Councilman Gallagher.
Welcome, Reverend. Probably unfair to ask this, and you don't feel that you have to answer it, but we're going through the budget, and Metro was just notified of a reduction. Do you have an opinion on that, or would you prefer to get into your seat and work on that later?
Well, I certainly want to get in my seat and work on that, but certainly I was concerned, always concerned when there are cuts. So my first reaction was one of sadness, but without understanding the full nuances of its broader resources, the ability to balance his personnel, to balance his budget. Without having those facts, I would prefer to just sort of hold on that opinion.
Sure.
But I understand that those are going to be the types of challenges that a board member would have to face.
Yeah, you're walking into the fire, but I did some research on you, and you've come out very well. I've considered, since we've been here, we've had issues with Metro, and we've worked through those, and we've changed the board substantially. And I think we've put together, in the process of doing it, put together a pretty good group of people that's starting to move Metro in the way in which at least I thought we should be moving, and I think many of my colleagues thought so too, and we're very happy with that. It's just, I would remind you that some of the past problems of that board were people that looked great on paper, but once they got there, they got too comfortable. Again, I've researched you, and I don't think you're a guy that's going to get comfortable. You're going to be active, and I would encourage you to stay in front of the curve and to be as aggressive as you can when you're in board meetings, because that, I think, is what makes the board itself move forward in a positive way. So I look forward to you helping the board become even stronger. But again, I would encourage you to stay as active as you possibly can and moving Metro Hospital forward in its mission for especially the folks that you minister to and that you help, that are really many of the clients there. But again, as I said, this board has with Dr. Boutros has done everything that I could possibly imagine to be good. And to keep going is going to be important. And with Mr. Schneider, with the building that we're going to have going on there, these are such important times. So I think the next 6 years are going to be the new making of Metro Hospital, and what we anticipate will be an even better place for the clients that we serve there. Good luck.
Thank you.
Any other further questions for Reverend Minor? All right, thank you, Reverend.
Thank
We
you.
may call you back up.
Okay.
All right. Mr. Snyder, good morning.
Good morning. Council members, thanks for having me this morning. My interest in becoming a member of the Mental Health Board was really generated when several people reached out to me thinking that I might be able to add something to the process of the redevelopment of the hospital and its real estate development and finance arm. I'm involved in real estate development, real estate finance, community economic development work in a variety of communities, and I'm committed to really doing everything that I can and using the skills that I have in helping to redevelop and contribute to the renaissance of Cleveland in general. And I recognize that we are all only as good as our weakest link, and whatever I can do to contribute to Metro Health as the hospital system that really is the catch-all for those that may slip through the cracks of other hospital systems in northeastern Ohio and the county in particular is really a meaningful piece of work that I can do. And I hope to be able to contribute to the work of the hospital system. I'm no expert in hospital operations, but I think from a community development, the redevelopment of the physical plant, the financing components that are involved with it, is where I see myself as making a contribution. And I'll pause.
Mr. Snyder, do you sit on any other boards that may have a conflict with the Metro?
No, I'm not on any other hospital boards.
Okay. Mr. Jimana, Councilman Jimana, then we'll go to Councilman Gallagher, then Miller.
I see that you have a statement, I have a depth of experience in board participation, but it doesn't go on to say what boards you've had experience with, so if you care to share.
Well, I've participated in a number of boards over the last 30 years. Been actively involved in the board of the Jewish Community Federation and chaired its allocations committee, where we allocate the $30 million that are raised each year by that institution among the various beneficiary agencies of the Federation. I served as the chair of the Board of Governors of Siegel College on the east side of town. I'm a member of the executive committee of the Western Reserve Land Conservancy right now, and I chair its transaction review committee, which is the process through which every transaction that the Land Conservancy is involved in, including the Thriving Communities Initiative, which our institute, which is very actively involved in the city of Cleveland and urban renovation and redevelopment. I'm a member of an investment committee of a large pension fund out of Washington, D.C. that allocates union labor dollars into real estate development work. And I think reputationally, my board engagement has been one that people consider to me to be a change agent within an organization. To Councilman Gallagher's point, I'm not one to sort of sit back and let it unfold. If I'm involved, then I voice my opinion and try to make the organization or add my 2 cents to what I think can move an organization forward in a responsible way.
Thanks for your answer.
You're welcome.
Councilman Gallagher.
It is an interesting time, and you seem, I hope you're the right person at the right time, because we've been here 5 years, and one of our big missions has been, and one of the big stumbling blocks that we have to get over is the redo of Metro. And I don't hesitate to blame anybody here, but we haven't really moved forward on that, and I would anticipate in your 6-year term that not only would we be moving on that you would be a big part of that movement, and I wish you luck and Godspeed.
Thank you.
Councilman Miller.
Madam Chairman, Mr. Schneider, I would just add that running a hospital the size of Metro is a very large operation, like running a substantial size business, and I think having the variety of backgrounds, including expertise in real estate and finance, will be very important and helpful to the board. So I'm very happy that you stepped up and are willing to serve in this capacity. And the question I would ask is if you could tell us a little bit more about your business work.
About my business?
Mm-hmm.
I have a couple of businesses. One is First Interstate Properties. We've been in business for 26 years. We are a developer, primarily over the years through about 10 years ago or 8 years ago of multi-tenant retail facilities. We are the developer and owner of Steelyard Commons, which is on the other side of the highway from Metro Health. We've also developed Legacy Village, and in the last years we basically paused through the recession and have now shifted our business model toward more of a multifamily development work. We are the group that has proposed the 20-story multifamily building in University Circle, One University Circle, that we hope to break ground on early this spring or this winter. So we are active in the real estate development and management industry, and really my goal in the work of our company is to continue to do as much in the city of Cleveland proper as possible, because I think that's where we'd like to try to devote our time and attention. We also have I'm also involved in a real estate private equity firm called Legacy Capital Partners that basically raises capital and invests capital in real estate projects in other areas of the country.
And Madam Chair, Mr. Snyder, as it applies in the greater Cleveland area, do you feel that the recession is over and that real estate conditions are reasonably favorable at this time?
I think the recession is over, but that doesn't mean that I think that we're in any sort of a growth mode, and I think that another recession is probably not too far down the path. But I also think that real estate conditions in northeastern Ohio are very good right now, and will continue for the foreseeable future.
Okay, thank you.
I'd like the record to reflect that Councilwoman Simon joined us. Councilwoman?
Sure. Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to welcome Mr. Schneider here and want to attest from my firsthand experience working with him and his company in the city of South Euclid with the project Oakwood Commons that brought in a Walmart to a lot of dismay of many people. But the work that was done was ethical, conscientious, and really, Ms. Schneider was willing to listen to the concerns of the community and was able to help get consensus and moving forward to the best project we could. It's a LEED certified first, I guess, in Walmart all over the world. So we did the best we could. But I just want to say it's great. I mean, I really am really excited to have you nominated and look forward to your participation on this board.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other further questions for Mr. Snyder? Thank you, Mr. Snyder.
Thank you.
I have a question for Chris. Any current vacancies on this board if these gentlemen should move forward?
There is currently one expired term where the member is still continuing to serve. To answer Councilwoman Brown's question earlier, of the 8 members who are still on, 2 are female.
Madam Chair.
Councilman Miller.
It seems that these 2 positions have been open for a pretty substantial length of time. Would it help if we would move this on second reading suspension?
I would yield to Metro's opinion as to the necessity to make the appointments sooner than later. We have, as has been stated publicly, a number of vacancies on a number of boards. And we'll have a lot of work to do in this committee over the next several months.
Okay, well, I'm gonna leave that decision to the chair.
Councilman Miller, our intention and our plan is to move second reading suspension on this item as well as the next one. I had a conversation with Ann earlier, and it is in need because they have a board meeting coming up.
Okay.
Any objections from the committee in regards to that? Any further questions needed answered by Ann, Chris, or our two gentlemen? Just to let you know, Reverend Minor as well as Mr. Snyder, we passed second reading suspension today. It will move to the full council. You're more than welcome to come down and participate, or you can watch us live stream. So I would like to make a motion to move R20150202 to the full committee's second reading suspension. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you. Thank you both for coming. Chrissy, if you could read the next item into the record.
Resolution 2015-0203, confirming the county executive's appointment of Erica Anthony to serve on the Cuyahoga County Public Defender Commission for an unexpired term ending 12/31/2015.
All right, just before Chris gives us a background, this item is on our agenda twice. Chris can give us a little background of why that we've separated it, the two resolutions out. So Chris, if you can give us a background of the commission as well as why these two have been separated out.
Certainly, thank you. The Public Defender Commission, similar to Metro, is the governing board for the public defender. They have the ability to hire and fire the public defender and make other governing decisions. There are, of the 5 members, 3 are appointed by Cuyahoga County as the successors to the county commissioners, and 2 are appointed by the Common Pleas Court. 1 member of the 5 must be an attorney. Currently, the other 4 members are all attorneys and are all very experienced attorneys, which in some ways influenced the type of appointee that the executive sought in this case. There is one correction I should make to the comments. The comment says that the board is uncompensated. There is not a regular compensation for the board, but there is a stipend for the meetings. As to why we have 2 appointments, the current open position term expires at end of this year. We felt it was most prudent to offer an appointment for the remainder of this year and then to also submit a second resolution for the new term, which would begin in January. Because of the close timing of the 2, we thought it was most prudent to offer both resolutions at the same time. If the committee or council wishes to only approve the current appointment and wishes for us to resubmit at a later time the second appointment, we would be happy to do that. But to have a continuous term of service, both resolutions probably would be advisable to move forward at the same time. As to our appointee, Ms. Anthony, as I said, the other 4 members of the Public Defender Commission are very experienced attorneys. This administration has a healthy respect for attorneys, as our executive is one, but we are also looking for individuals with substantial community involvement and some experience in the area of rehabilitation and reentry. The public defender has a lot of roles in terms of shepherding individuals who are indigent through the criminal justice system, and we felt that adding a little bit more diversity of experience might be helpful here. Ms. Anthony is exceptionally qualified in the area of reentry. She has previously worked with a number of organizations, including Oriana House, and is currently a board member of the Edwins Board, which has been recognized, I think, by council as well as this administration as an exceptional entity for helping convicted individuals get back on to a path of success. I'll let Ms. Anthony speak to her experience more in depth, but the executive was very excited about this nomination.
Chris, just to follow up on Councilwoman Brown's question. Is Ms. Anthony the only female on this board currently?
The board currently has one female member. We are, I'll note, having some issues in that because of the stipend compensation that member is considering resigning because it conflicts with their ability to collect their pension. We're hopeful to resolve that in some way apart from this, but at this time, out of the 4 members, 1 is female.
Okay, thank you. Councilwoman Brown.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Glassburn, you had mentioned that this is kind of a unique individual in the fact that how many of the current members are attorneys? Is this the only one that will not be an attorney, or?
As I stated, the Ohio Revised Code requires 1 of the 5 to be an attorney, but the other 4 are all attorneys. They are all individuals who have, over 20 years of legal experience. Some are professors, some are heads of firms. They are. We have that level of experience covered on this board at this time.
Councilman Gallagher.
You're referring to Judge McMonigal?
Yes.
How do you propose to resolve this? Because I spoke with her, and even Judge Tim McMonigal is going to have to resign from the department panel, which we said had to be at least 1 member being a retired judge, and now they're running into a problem with the retirement, which I find incredible because both of them were willing to not take a stipend. So can you fill us in as where you're at on how to fix this, or is it fixable?
From a procedural standpoint, we have a number of ways to remedy this at the county. The real issue is whether the public pension fund will accept any of those ways. So we both of those, the appointee on this board and on the Department Review Board, have offered to not receive their stipends. We would gladly accept that if that is acceptable to the public pension fund, or to treat, right now, the public pension funds, because they are getting these stipends, are considering them employees of Cuyahoga County. We don't believe that that is a appropriate recognition of what contributions they make to the county. We would be happy to pay them as independent contractors. We'd be happy to not offer payment. We would be happy to issue vouchers. There's a number of methods we could resolve this, but it's really up to the public pension funds. If we cannot, it would be a disservice to Cuyahoga County and the rest of the state if the public pension funds cannot find a way to allow this to be remedied.
Right. It's as long as the committee understands that it makes no sense, and we're on the threshold of losing 2 very good people on 2 important boards. Thank you.
Mr. Glassburn, can you give us a timeline of when that might be remedied?
We have contacted the Public Pension Fund for Judge McMonigal for this board with a number of different possibilities. She has as well. They have not responded yet to our latest offering. We're hopeful that they will respond shortly, but again, there could be another opening on the horizon if this is not resolved.
All right. Any other? Councilman Germana.
How often does this board meet?
I believe they are required to meet quarterly, but I believe they meet far more often than that.
And can you let us know what the stipend is?
I believe it's $125 a meeting.
Wow. That's kind of ridiculous to be suspended from being able to serve for that. For the few times that they meet per quarter
And they're willing to forego it.
That's ridiculous. Okay, thank you.
Sure.
All right. Any other further questions for Mr. Glassburn? Hearing none, if Ms. Anthony could come up. Good morning, and please share with us your passion of why you would like to get on this this commission. Some of your background would be appreciated.
Sure. Thank you, Chairwoman. Thank you, council members, for having me here today.
Thank you, Mr. Glassburn. As Chris stated, I have a great passion for reentry. I started my career after college, primarily working as a paralegal. I'm a native New Yorker. Started my career working at the New York County District Attorney's Office and served as a court advocate for a nonprofit in New York. Worked for a number of law firms and attorneys. And while I did decide not to pursue a law degree and opt in to do a master's in public administration, that legal background, I think, has been tremendous to my career, to my understanding of the justice system. Post getting my master's in public administration here at Cleveland State, I transitioned into the nonprofit arena. I worked at the Center for Families and Children for 3.5 years, where I served as the project coordinator for a pilot project for reentry. So I led staff through a process where we administered case management services at 5 prisons throughout Northeast Ohio, provided case management transition services for those individuals returning back here to Cuyahoga County, specifically most of those in Cleveland, and continued working with those individuals on their path of success. Unfortunately, that program was not refunded, and I transitioned to Oriana House, which is a community corrections organization that's been around for close to 40 years. Started in Summit County and has been here in Cuyahoga County, specifically in Cleveland, since the early 2000s. They operate a number of different programs throughout the city of Cleveland. They have a community-based correction facility, a halfway house, a reentry resource center, and a number of other programs to support those individuals transitioning from both federal and state prison as well as local justice systems. While I was there at Oriana House, I managed a number of different programs. I oversaw our reentry resource center. I piloted and started a program that's still in existence today, going back into the prison, very similar to the program that I managed when I was at the Center for Families and Children. That program specifically is just now working with Grafton and Northeast Pre-Release, which is here in Cleveland. I transitioned from my traditional role, I guess you can say, in reentry and criminal justice just earlier this year, where I currently serve as the Senior Director of Advocacy, Policy, and Research for Cleveland Neighborhood Progress. So shifting my focus to be more community-based, but that passion and that energy around fair and equitable justice remains, and now I have the opportunity to do it in a more broader aspect as it relates to community development.
Any questions for Ms.?
I have a couple questions.
Councilman Miller.
Good morning, and thank you very much for coming and for your interest in serving on the Public Defender Commission. Can you tell me if you're familiar with the reentry work in New York City of the Osborne Association?
Very closely. I worked for the Fortune Society when I was in New York as a court advocate, and Osborne was one of the organizations that we worked really closely with. It's been some time, but I did work with them in the early 2000s.
Okay, great. And secondly, do you have any ideas on how the Public Defender's Office could be more effective in promoting effective reentry?
Sure. Well, first, I think similar to what Bishop said earlier, I think getting into the seat and have a better understanding of the operations would be helpful. But one pretty instant sort of synergy that I can see, I know we have a very robust Office of Reentry here in Cuyahoga County. In fact, it was the first Cuyahoga County government office in the state of Ohio, and it's been leading efforts here, not just in Cuyahoga County, but beyond the state and the nation since 2009. So if there is not currently a strong synergy and partnership between the Public Defender's Office and the Office of Reentry, I would like to see that happen, and I've worked very closely with Luis Vasquez and his staff for the past 6 or 7 years.
I agree that it's a very good thing to have a diversity of backgrounds on these boards and commissions, and I support your nomination and look forward to the service that you can provide for us.
Thank you, Councilman Miller.
Councilwoman Simon.
Thank you. Councilman Miller asked the question about what you might perceive the needs of the Public Defender's Office maybe at this point, other than to enhance or collaborate on reentry. Do you see that they are struggling with any particular need at this point that needs to be filled?
I think volume and capacity has always been an issue. Unfortunately, particularly here in Cuyahoga County, we've had a very high number of individuals going through our criminal justice system. So the more that can be done on the front end, so we have less people being sentenced to prison and recidivating and cycling through our prison system, I think the best. I think making sure that individuals that are seeking a public defender understand all the options, not just the criminal sanctions that they're facing, but also the civil collateral sanctions that may come as a result of a plea that they take for their particular case. So any work that we can do with that individual's family, or their support network to make sure that they fully understand what charges they are actually pleading to and what impact that will have on the rest of their life. So for instance, if I plead to a particular charge, it may prohibit me from seeking employment in a particular field because there's a collateral sanction associated with that. Making sure that individuals understand that. So if I currently am a CDL driver and my conviction will prohibit me from continuing that, that's huge because that's income and that's impacting their employment and their livelihood moving forward. So again, until I get into the seat and understand fully what that communication entails, I would want to make sure that there's strong communication between that individual, their family, or their support network so they understand those consequences.
Have you talked to the public defender or the attorneys from that office or even other members who sit on this board currently to find out about what the issues are that are currently they're facing, other than that which you've just spoken?
Not currently. In my prior roles at Oriana House and at the Center for Families and Children, I interfaced more with the Public Defender's Office, but in my capacity now at Cleveland Neighborhood Progress, I don't.
Haven't. In preparation for this, okay. And I see you worked at Center for Family and Children's Services. Did you work with Sharon Sobel Jordan while you were there?
I did. I was at the Center for Families and Children, and she was the CEO at the time.
And are you aware of the how many appointees have come from the Center for Family and Children's Services coming through this committee?
So I was at the nonprofit, the Center for Families and Children. There's the county department.
No, actually, other people who worked at Center who are now getting appointed to boards and commissions here. Do you know how many have come from that? Okay.
No, I'm
okay.
unaware.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Councilman Gallagher.
Because you worked with reentry, and we touched on this years ago, Cuyahoga County sends X prisoners out, and X squared seems to come back. Is that still going on? And if that's still going on, why is that fair and equitable to the Cuyahoga County taxpayer?
So it actually has gone down. When I first moved to Cleveland, we were upwards around 8,000 returning to Cuyahoga County. That number is now down to just under 4,000. So it is definitely decreasing, and that all has to do with, I think, pretty innovative practices that have taken place in our county on the front end, sending less people to prison, making sure that those that are suffering from, behavioral health or mental health or substance abuse problems are in fact receiving treatment in lieu of going to prison. So I do see that there's been a dramatic decrease over the last decade. There's still lots to be done, but I think as a county we should be proud of the efforts that we've made. We've had a number of pretty significant legislations that have come through, not just our county, but at the state level. So a couple of years ago, the county passed the Ban the Box, the fair hiring policies, which I was actually part of helping craft the language for that piece of legislation when I was at Oriana House a couple of years ago. Just recently, there's pending legislation at the state, HB 56, which would ban the question of whether or not someone has a felony conviction from Ohio State, public employment applications.
I think you misunderstood we send prisoners out and those return, but others from other counties are coming back here.
Oh, okay.
Why is that? Is that still going on? And why is that still going on? And why are the taxpayers of Cuyahoga County, if you know, I don't know if you know, paying for these people?
So I can't speak to that specifically. Okay. All I would say is it's a double-edged sword. We have a lot of resources in Cuyahoga County. So
well, just because we have resources doesn't mean we spend them on other people's problems.
Right.
And that's huge. And I know we do this, and no one else does.
Right.
And no one else does because we do. That's not even a fine line. It's a ridiculous line. And it hasn't changed, and nobody seems to care. And while we're cutting everything, that's where we need to cut.
Right.
Not from our people, from people coming in back here. Because word spreads throughout the system, hey, there's a helping hand in Cuyahoga County. I don't mind helping people, but, we're under pressure financially here. And no one seems to bring it up.
And that's a conversation.
That's why I do it.
Right.
And I don't know where that goes. So this is off topic, but I don't know where that goes, but maybe you can help us get there.
Well, I know particularly Judge Margaret Nancy Russo has been working really closely with Department of Rehabilitation and Corrections over the last couple of years, particularly with the director, Gary Moore, who had been with DRC, a number of years ago, left, worked with the private sector for a number of years, and came back, I think, about 5 years ago. So I think there's conversations, and then particularly, I'm sure there are other judges and other people that are working with the department, but I do know, in fact, that Judge Russo has been working really closely with the department and trying to figure that out, so that might be a place to start, and I can bring that recommendation to the Public Defenders Commission.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I'm just wondering if we can really stop individuals from coming here. I know we can.
Sure we can. Sure we can. We can build their home county back that sent them out. That's what we can do. Because I want to take care of our people. I don't want to take care of the entire state. We're not the babysitter here. And seemingly everybody thinks we have all this money. And as we have found out, we don't.
Right.
And just because we have a program doesn't mean that we're going to take care of Coshocton County's problems. They don't care about us. Not that I don't care about them, but we have finite resources. And it's a problem. Because our guys coming back and gals coming back, their monies are being liquidated by others coming back with them, and it just is not fair.
Right.
But again, I don't know where to go, but it is a problem.
It is. Thank you for your comments.
Councilwoman Simon.
For yielding to me. Thank you. One of the powers and duties of the commission is to establish the budget and for the public defender, and we've been clearly put under some restraints. So with your knowledge and experience, do you have some insights or suggestions that might be able to that you might be able to share with us with regards to that?
Sure. And again, I haven't had the opportunity to see the public defender's budget, but I think it's, again, going back to being innovative and thinking, not just with our county resources, which we know can be constrained at times, but thinking to Councilwoman Gallagher's point, what type of partnerships and relationships do we have with the state? I know that they have a ton, but if there aren't current conversations and collaborations happening at the state level, and it doesn't just have to be with the Department of Rehabilitation and Corrections. I think a number of years ago, our former Attorney General made a pretty bold statement by forming the Interagency Reentry Council at the federal level and basically said, the woes and the challenges associated with the criminal justice system should not just fall on Department of Justice, because employment is impacted, labor forces are impacted, all these other departments are impacted because irregardless of what that person was doing prior to prison, they're coming back to a community that has health and human service needs, employment needs, things of that nature. I have not seen that, and I would love to see that sort of model implemented here, because again, I don't think one department or one county should bear the responsibility. So I would want to bring that recommendation to the commission.
Councilwoman Simon.
Thank you. One of the glaring omissions from the Public Defender's Office is the advancement of technology. And I think that the PD's office does not have, their lawyers don't have laptops. They're in trial. The prosecutor's office are all booted up with their laptops, all the discoveries on there. Mm-hmm. And that office is really, really lagging in technology. And I would ask you, if you get confirmed, to please look into that and come back to us. And when we go through this budget process, I think it's really essential that there's some parity between those two offices. And we can't function as a PD without being up to speed with technology and the resources to accomplish that.
No, I agree, and not necessarily pertinent for this conversation, but just context for technology. I'm a founding member of an organization called Hack Cleveland that just started earlier this year, really looking at civic tech and social justice and how we can provide civic technological solutions for some of the social justice problems that we're having in our communities. We held a hackathon in the spring of this year where we had a number of projects come out of that initiative. I think there's great opportunity for technology, not just with the Public Defender's Office, but that's a conversation that I think across the board we need to leverage, both from the perspective of efficiency, as well as employment. There's a tremendous boom in tech jobs, and not just sort of at the traditional tech places that people think of, but every department, every organization, every company has tech involved in some way. And one of my mentors in that field, I joke and say that I'm not, too technologically savvy, and she says to me, that's what you say as you sit there with a laptop and a smartphone. So I don't necessarily have to be a coder or a designer or a graphic designer to do that work, but there are job opportunities, and Cuyahoga County actually has a lot of offerings when it comes to that. So I think to your point, Councilwoman, there's great opportunity there to increase the efficiency as it relates to technology for the Public Defenders Commission.
Any other questions for Ms. Anthony? Hearing none, I will let you know, just like I did the other two gentlemen, you're more than welcome to come down Tuesday and see what the Committee of the Whole votes, or you can watch us live stream. And thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Thank you, council members.
Chris, a question for you. Could you provide this committee with the number of offenders not from the county in the last 5 years? Can you get that information for us?
I'll see what I can get.
Okay, thank you. For this resolution, we're going to ask second reading suspension because the term is ending in 12/31/2015. I would like to make a motion for that. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. So this matter has been moved to the full council, second reading suspension. As far as the next item into the record, we will just vote. We won't ask Ms. Anthony to come up again. If you could please read it into the record.
Resolution 2015-0204, confirming the county executive's reappointment of Erica Anthony to serve on the Cuyahoga County Public Defender Commission for the term 1/1/2016 through 12/31/2019.
All right, and going back, the reasoning for these two is to line up and get all of our terms lined up. So if there's without any objection, and Ms. Anthony getting reappointed so she won't have to come down here in January and redo this, please state if you have any objections.
I move that we move this to the full council for second reading.
Well, this one doesn't have to go second reading, Councilman.
No, just second reading, not suspension.
Okay, gotcha.
Second.
All right, all in favor say aye. Aye. So resolution 20150204 has been moved to the full council just for second reading.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Councilman.
I just want to make a comment in general. When I'm out in the community, probably one of the first questions I'm asked is, how's this new guy Armin? And my answer always is, he's had some tremendous appointments, and Ms. Anthony's explanation point on that. So I think all three of these appointments today were very highly regarded.
All right, and so I'd like this committee to take a 5-minute break, if you don't mind.